finish up binomial distribution by looking at what's the mean or the expected value. And it's kind of a simple formula, which will make sense to you. If you flip a coin 8 times, what do you think the average number of heads, the most likely thing you're going to get, is 4? Right? And that just comes from, if I flip it 8 times, and my probability of success is a half, my mean would be 4. If on your next bio test you decide, you know what, I'm not going to study. I know there's 40 multiple choice questions. I have 4 options each time. I am just going to guess and see how I do. Well, 40 multiple choice questions, 1 in 4 chance, you could expect to get 10 of them right, which 10 out of 40 is 25%, and since you have a 25% on each one, you would expect to get 25%. Right? You can now use your binomial CDF to see, ooh, what are the chances I'm going to pass? Because then you would have to add, well, getting 20 right plus 21 plus 22. And using the formula would be long, but if you used your calculator and did 1 minus binom CDF of the first 20 and figured out what that is, right, you're going to find out your chances of passing are not very good. So you should still study for your bio tests. Another disappointment in math class. Oh, today I learned that I don't have to study for bio anymore and I'll pass. No, it's not the case. If you can convince your bio teacher to give you multiple choice questions where there's only 2 possibilities, right? Or even better, I love these multiple choice tests with 1 possibility, right? I pretend I'm thinking about it, then I guess the only option. Ooh. Have you ever done one of those multiple choice tests where if you get it wrong, your answer counts as -1? So getting it right gives you 1. And so it's impossible to get 9 out of 10. Because if you get, oh no, it's not impossible because you can leave it blank. If you leave one blank because you don't know, so it's better to leave it blank and get 0 than to guess, because then you'll probably get -1. The formula for your variance is quite simple. It's just your number of trials, probability of success, times by your probability of failure. So your variance in your 40-question multiple choice test, you had 40 questions. Your chances of success are 1 out of 4. Your chances of failure are 3 out of 4. You multiply this all together, and you'll get a variance of 7.5. So if we want to find our standard deviation, you remember how to find standard deviation from variance? Just have to square root it. And here I put the q instead of the 1 minus p, because 1 minus p is just your failure, which is q. So fun formula for the day. Sigma equals the square root of n. So here is a question that comes from, I would say the idea of it comes from the old pre-calculus course, because there were so many questions in their exercise book that involved urns and putting marbles in urns, which I don't know why as a child you would like, oh, put some marbles in an urn. It's not, it sounds kind of morbid. Anyways, you just happen to have an urn and you bury 7 marbles in there, 2 of which are blue. And then you do this 50 times. You disturbed childhood, I guess. We want to find the probability that 10 blue marbles were selected. So we have to recognize this. Should I give you guys a chance? Oh, it's almost class time's over. So let's try and set it up. I'll give you a chance to set it up, and then I'll show you the answers. All right, you want to see if you got the setup for the first one right. 50 trials. Probability of success is 2/7. Yeah, careful, hey? So the crazy thing, like, that's a very easy mistake to make, right? 2 are blue and there's 7, so you think there's 9 marble, because normally they tell you 7 red and 2 blue, and that makes 9 in total. The crazy thing about IB marking is that little mistake would cost you 1 mark. And then your final answer wouldn't be right. Well, obviously, because you made a little mistake. And that would cost you another mark. So they can be really harsh sometimes if you make a little mistake like that. Other times they'll carry through that mistake. But often within the marking guide, you could lose 2 marks for a silly mistake. So we have to practice being careful and as we go. That's right. Sometimes they're really nice because you do next to no work and they say, okay, we'll give you 5 marks for that. So our expected value, we have 50 trials. Probability of success is 2 out of 7. So you could expect 14.3. And our standard deviation will be the square root, number of trials, probability of success, probability of failure. This formula for standard deviation isn't on your formula sheet, but the variance is. So the variance of n times p times 1 minus p is on there. You have to know that standard deviation is the square root of variance, and then that won't be a problem.